What's going on, everybody? Josh up here with Get Hip with Josh. Thanks so much for tuning in for another driving review. Today we're experiencing yet another variant of the Mach family, the Mustang Mach family. I'm heading out right now. Head over to my friends at Lebanon Ford. They've got a car waiting for me yet again, and we're going to be checking it out. So we'll see this car really soon. Can't wait to show it to you. All right, guys, here we are. Josh Hip, I'm back at the dealership. They've just pulled up the car for me. Here it is, the 2021 Mach 1. So this car, on first appearances, the first looks, is the first time I've seen it in person. It's actually really aggressive looking. It's meant to be a cross between the GT350 and the Performance Slack Level 2. I had a Performance Slack Level 2 in my 2019 Mustang, and I loved that package. So this is a perfect cross of the outgoing GT350 and the deleted Performance Pack Level 2. So we see some really cool options here. This thing is just aggressive. It's got those Performance Pack Level 2 wheels, the GT350 rear end, and it's got this giant Mach 1 badge on both sides and replaces the 5-liter badge. But really it all comes together with this front end. I mean, it's just aggressive looking, from these giant corner pockets that are actually functional aero here to the painted mesh grille, as well as the upper. I love the anthracite pony badge. I'm not wild on these, admittedly. They're not functional, but I understand that they're meant to pay homage to the previous Mach 1s of yesteryear. All in all, first appearances, this one's in Oxford white. White's my favorite color. This thing is pretty aggressive looking, and I actually dig it. I'm going to get into some driving experiences and get into all the features with my honest review and honest feedback. But first appearances, aggressive looking. I definitely think it needs bigger wheels and tires. The Performance Stock Level 2 had 19 by 10.5s in the front and 19 by 11s in the rear. This has a Performance Pack Level 1 width and tire setup, so I'm not sure what the reasoning for that was, but all in all, it's not that bad looking. I think it's a really aggressive looking car. I'm excited to hear what it sounds like, what it drives like, and kind of experience some of the nuances of the Mach 1 and get some feedback from my experience with 2019 Mustangs and 2020s to this 2021 special edition. I don't know how long this is going to be here for. There's certainly a lot of hype around it, different packages. Stang Mod just took delivery of his. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to get into all the features, and we'll talk soon. All right, now since this is the automatic version, it does have the 10-speed automatic transmission. So we're going to go ahead and fire it up using the remote start and get a sound clip of it real quick, and then we're going to get in and get on driving. Go. Right, so I've got a great spot here. We're going to go a walk around of the car, and we're going to talk about all the things about this car, give you some background on it, what I've learned so far, what the position that Ford is giving this vehicle in the Mustang lineup, and then we're going to do some interior stuff, and I'm going to go around and talk about the vehicle overall and get a little driving experience as well. So let's check this thing out. So as I mentioned before, this is the 2021 Mach 1. It is a homage to the previous Mach 1s that there have been many versions of this car. The first thing that you'll notice is that it's obviously continuously based on the 2021 chassis, but has a lot of new things that you don't see and have never seen on the S550 chassis. And one of those things is gigantic functional aero pockets that you see here, just massive pockets that from Ford you just haven't seen. And it's really unique to see what they've done with this thing and everything that they're trying to do with it to continue to bring back the cars. We've seen the Bullitt, now the Mach 1, and I believe we're going to see a Boss again too. So it's nice to see this thing. Now, however, I do have some conflicts with the vision of this car. We have 3 models that have gone out. We have the Bullitt, who is now gone. We have which was, I don't know if it was that big of a deal. I do remember selling quite a few back in the day at my time at the dealership, but I just don't know if it did everything that Ford wanted it to do. Then they had the Performance Pack Level 2 that they introduced in 2018, which was a major seller. I personally had my 19, loved it. That is now gone as well, as is the GT350. So that begs it, with all the stuff that's on this car, which is bits and pieces of those 3 cars combined. Is this a parts bin car? Or is this an actual tribute to the Mach 1? I don't know. Time will tell. But let's talk about all the different things that are on it. So as I mentioned up front, you do have those faux looking, they're supposed to mimic fog lights up there in the grill, and then you've got this really aggressive front end that is certainly tells a tale. You're seeing a lot of Ford performance vehicles have these kind of hexagon shapes up here. You see it on the Ford, the Focus RS, the Edge ST, the Explorer ST. It's really becoming kind of a signature thing, and a little bit, I think that's going to be a thing to stay. I do love these wheels, though. They look exactly like the Performance Pack Level 2 wheels, except for they are much smaller. And instead of being wrapped in Cup 2s, they're wrapped in the Performance Pack Level 1 Pilot Sport 4S's. They do have the Brembo brakes. Moving around, you see the graphics there, that Mach 1 badge. Now, I will note that there are actually 3 different wheels you can get on this vehicle. So this is the standard wheel, and then you have a color accent package that gives you an orange stripe where the red is, orange interior stripe, and orange brake calipers, and then those get the they get wheels that look very much like the Bullitt wheels. And then last, you have the handling package for both the automatic and the manual that gives the Tremec transmission to the manual and gives you these awesome looking staggered wheels that are more of like a cross between the Performance Pack Level 2 and the Performance Pack Level 1 wheels. They're actually pretty aggressive, and they have plenty of tire. This car, in my opinion, lacks wheel size and tire size. Getting back into it, let's go around the back. So we do have this kind of, I would say it's like an anthracite textured spoiler. I just don't know. This is the same size spoiler that was on the PP2. Just the PP2 just came in color match. But one thing I do think that they got right is this. The rear diffuser from the GT350. I love it. Super aggressive. The exhaust sounds phenomenal. And I think that they did it right there. For me, on a Mustang, it's looks and sound and then power. Power is not always the biggest deal for me because I've driven naturally aspirated cars that I just had a blast in. I've also driven boosted cars that were a little underwhelming. So this car looks, if you delete the graphics, I think the looks are spot on. I would have to change the upper grille because I'm not a big fan of the faux headlights. Or if they were actually functional headlights or functional aero induction, I think that would be great. But as it sits, not huge wild, but it is definitely a homage to the Mach 1, so kudos to Ford for doing that well. Exhaust sounds great. Wheels look good, but could definitely be much wider. Last but not least, I want to see the engine bay. Let's get a look at this GT350 setup in the engine bay, and then we're going to go drive it and see if all the hype around this being the answer to the Bullitt GT350 PP2 deletion, we're going to find out. All right, so this is exactly what you would see when you pop the hood of a GT350. Now, this is the standard 5-liter engine. Now, the GT350 did have the 5.2, but they did install the GT350 intake manifold as well as the GT350 cold air intake and throttle body, and that boosts it from 460 horsepower to 480 and gives it a unique intake sound, as well as, in my opinion, a little bit more throttle response. I do feel a difference of this car just driving around town. I'm going to get into some straights here and see if it's really all the talk about it, and we're going to decide. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I mean, what do you think? Is the Mach 1 an adequate replacement for the GT350? Because if you talk about the price points, this thing is almost as much as a GT350. I mean, a GT350, they were in the, you could pick them up in the high 50s sometimes, but sticker wise, they were in the low 60s to start. This thing's stickers for $60,000. Is that worth all the stuff that comes in with it? We're gonna find out right now. All right, so I've got the car in normal mode, and we're just gonna do a quick little blip here, little light throttle, see how it picks up in normal mode, and then I'm gonna switch it to sport, and I'm gonna really hammer it in these back roads here. We're gonna get a feel for what this thing can do. All right. We've got a little bit of ways here. Got a nice open stretch coming up. All right, quick blip here, quick blip. Not bad at all, actually, for normal mode. Actually, I'm pretty surprised. I mean, no tire slip, which was unexpected for sure. And Nice sound. Exhaust sounded nice. Definitely felt aggressive. I'm gonna get this thing in sport mode, and we're gonna do it again. I don't know. That felt good. That felt really good. Let's see what happens in sport. One thing I'll admit about these 10 speeds is that they do have a tendency to be a little clunky in the shifting. Now, a lot of like my stop and go gears are just a little bit. You feel that kind of clunk in and out, and that's unfortunately a normal characteristic that I've seen across my F-150, as well as this Mustang with a 10-speed and others that I've experienced in the past. But we're in sport mode now. We've got a little straight coming up here. I've got the camera way more stationary. It's actually locked into position here. That way I can be very careful as I stand on this thing. And we're gonna see. So the thing that I do love about the 10-speed is how when you give it heavy throttle, it does really shift very well. So I'm in a cruising gear right now. I'm in about 8th gear, and as soon as I hammer this thing, it's gonna drop to 4th, and then we're gonna pull heavy. So we got a straight coming up here. I'm gonna slow down, and we're gonna go ahead and give this thing a rip. So you're not gonna be able to see it shift, unfortunately, just because I've got the camera set in a good position. But I'm gonna walk you through it. Here we go. Oh yeah. Yep. Wow. Oh my gosh, and you can hear it downshifting as I come into these S turns, and it just wants more. You can just tell this thing continues to want more and more. And actually with those thinner wheels, it's actually handling pretty well in these turns. Brakes are nice with those Brembo 6-pods up front. And that downshift is so aggressive because it just wants to keep going. Oh, I love it. I love that. Dude, that is just the one thing about this car that it is screaming all the things that it replaced. It wants to fit right into that performance mold of the GT350 and the PP2 as well as the Bullitt, and it just, in the turns, it's doing it. Could it use some wider tires in the back to be able to really get some more aggressive handling? Certainly, but nice and tight. Sport mode is the way to go. I genuinely believe sport mode is 100% the way to go there. I really enjoyed that. Nice smooth shifts, downshift, and then carrying up. Held the gear when I wanted it, and as soon as I hit the S turns, it downshift, gave me the throttle, gave me the RPM that I needed to keep going, and delivered well on that promise. I really impressive. Mach 1 drivability wise, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I think it could use some more handling. If it had bigger wheels and tires, which you could in theory just do yourself, I'd say this thing would be a solid 10. I'm not wild on necessarily the graphics and the look of the thin wheels, or those fake aero pocket in the grill. But other than that, I do think it has an aggressive style. I like the color options you can get on it, and I think that it's got a lot of potential. I would love to see one boosted, and I think that would just scream. It would take me back to my PP2. Guys, let me know in the comments, what did you think? What's your experience so far with the Mach 1? What's your thoughts on it? Have you driven one yet? If you haven't, visit your local dealership and definitely drive one. I think it's worth the experience. All right, so that concludes our review. I'm going to go ahead and say I just can't decide if I think this car is a part spin car or a true replacement. In my honest opinion, having never driven the car before, I truly believe it was we have a leftover stuff. Let's see if we can bring back the Mach 1 for a last hurrah and just keep that line of recycling old special editions. And I think the Mach 1 came from that, unfortunately. The GT350 Carrio stuff is nothing unique that the Bullitt didn't have. The wheels are directly taken from the PP2, yet just cut down by multiple inches of width. The tires are from the Performance Tech Level 1. The brakes are from the Performance Tech Level 1. The rear diffusion, the exhaust is from the GT350. I just feel like they took the 3 models that they were outgoing and said, look, we got some stuff left. Let's call it a Mach 1. For me, is it a cool Mustang? Absolutely it does. I do love the front end, the lower front end. I think that's amazing. I do love this beautiful 401A interior with the digital dash and the active exhaust and all the toggles. I do love that about the car. What kills me is that it's definitively a part spin car, though it drives very well. And I think the Tremec with the handling packages is going to drive even better if you're a 6-speed guy. Normally, I would drive a 6-speed car as well. I would love to see what it feels like with Recaros. That's definitely something you'd want to get with the handling package as well. For me, however, the price point just kills the momentum that this car could have. So if they keep it super low production, I do think that they will have some success, but this car is $5,000 more than a Bullitt, $3,000 more than less than a GT350, but it doesn't feel the same. The GT350 also had a wide wheel and tire suspension stand and suspension setup. This has a street car look, an aggressive street car look, with some of the pieces that a road course car could enjoy, such as the GT350, but I honestly just think this car is for the guy who had a Mach 1 way back when and wants to revisit that and with new tech. I would be more excited behind the wheel of a GT350 or the Performance Pack Level 2 than this car, I feel, just because those cars just had a different appeal to them. They were meant to handle and take turns and drive. I truly think this is a street car with some pieces on it from outgoing models. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. Make sure you comment below. I do think there were some things with the car that I did love, as I mentioned in other parts. But overall, the Mach 1 for me is a pass. I was actually more excited about the Mach E than I am the Mach 1. But let's talk about it in the comments. I want to thank Lebanon Ford and Lebanon Ford Performance once again for letting me trial a car, letting me take it for a day, letting me put it through the paces and really get to feel what this Mach 1 had. It was definitely a fun day. I'm just a huge car guy. I love to experience new cars, especially cars that I've never driven before, and tell you guys about my first impressions. Also in the comments, let's talk about what I should review next. It doesn't have to be a Ford car. If you're a big Ford guy like I am, throw a Ford car you'd like me to review. Could be a truck, could be an SUV. If you wanted me to try out something from another manufacturer, I've got lots of contacts here in town. I'd be happy to make some calls and try something new. I'm going to plan to try to post my next review in 2 weeks. So plenty of time to talk about it and pick a car and get back on the road. Hey, if you don't follow me already, I hope you liked the video. Please like or comment, subscribe, and follow me on my other channels. I also stream on Twitch. I will be creating a video gaming channel on YouTube as well. But right now, all my gaming content is live on Twitch at Get Hip with Josh as well. And follow me on Twitter. I'm trying to get to 100 followers on Twitter. I feel like that's the place to be right now. Also, Get Hip with Josh. Again, thanks so much for watching. Take care and get hip.